presentation back on September 12th. The inspection was conducted. I'm just now seeing those photographs. I appreciate the fact it's gone through, diligently done that. We have contacted 3 different fencing contractors, fence off the southern portion of the property. The lowest bid is $9,404. There was one bid for $20,000, which we thought. 4 of the 8 long-term tenants have been evicted. They have packed up and moved. There are 4 more of the long-term tenants that will be gone by the end of this month, pursuant to the contract they have with L. I also have brought with me what I did not have before, which are 18, I think, trespass notices that have been served on various people on that property. They are just not going to photocopy or scan. If the clerk wants to pick them up for perusal, you can do that. But if you've got a better copy machine or a better scanner, feel free. But here they are if you want to see them. We're certainly pleased that the city has made work with us. We will work with the city to the best of our ability. I think we have mitigated a lot of the concerns, or we are on. And beyond that, I really don't have much more to add that I don't know. And here these are. If the clerk wants to pick them up, and you can flip through them. I think the law enforcement people will recognize them as what we call frequent flyers in our municipal. Trespass notices that have been served, try to mitigate and ameliorate whatever trespassing and criminal activity. Thank you.
Sure. All right, we will now take public testimony on the application. The rules regarding public testimony are as follows. Testimony will first be heard from proponents, those who are in favor of the revocation, and then by opponents, those who are opposed to the revocation. All speakers must speak into the microphone, give their name and address. All comments should be addressed to the City Council and should be relevant to the application and should not be of a personal nature. That means you're talking to us, not the crowd. You will have a 3-minute time limit. Please try to avoid repetitive comments. Unruly behavior such as booing or hissing, harassing remarks, or applause, or those sorts of things, those are prohibited. Does everybody understand this? Very well. Then, I have a list of people who have signed up. What I don't know is if you are in favor of or opposed to the revocation. So I'm going to take a guess. The first people who are speaking are those who are in favor. And so if I call your name by mistake, please be kind enough to say, yeah, I'll go later, okay? First name on the list is Britton Moore.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for...
Please say your name and your address.
My name is Britton Moore, and I reside in... I'm going to speak briefly on behalf of SM2, is a accounting firm that has brick building off of. There are just some brief photos of people trespassing different times through the night. Their cameras after a month, so they literally have dozens of these. They've had windows broken, people sleeping in cars on the property, urinating in the back, stealing things from the front. I know this because Sylvia and Gilbert call us sometimes in the middle of the night and say, hey, can you go check? Sure enough, there's people there trespassing and damaging their property, and even trying to break out of the building. So I'm going to pass these on to you so that you can look at those. And And then I want to remark just briefly on the email I sent. I realize it might have been a little strong, but I need you to understand the financial loss, the damage, the pain and heartache. When someone comes through and bashes all of your windows out of every single one, just to steal a couple of tools or whatever they can get their hands on, that puts all of our vehicles off the road for a week or two. Then we've got to pay our guys to go home and do nothing. Then we've got to call and cancel all of those appointments we had set up that week. The financial loss is devastating. We met with, Joe and I met with our State Farm agent today, Brian Robeson, and he had said, look guys, this stuff isn't your fault, not on you, but you can't make a claim. We will get dropped, and no other insurance company will take us. It's how the insurance business works. Can't afford to claim these things, so it's right out of our pocket, and it's pretty painful. On another topic, I know we're here for the motel, house motel, but we do have the hotel, the travel lodge. They had to build that wall back there behind.
There's more, we have to stick to the topic at hand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. All
right, so I will stick to, email I sent, and I just really want to reiterate that, if you're afraid of getting sued, get more lawyers. We've got, Sunnyside is known for big events, and I think people are going to shy away from events. Allowing these people into our town. Right, that they vacated those other folks, but there's hundreds more out there waiting to come and take their place.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the list, Mr. Kim, I'm going to guess that you are in opposition to the revocation, correct? Yes. Okay, then we'll come back to you later. Chris Gardner?
Good evening, my name is Chris Gardner, 201 South 7th Street. I just jotted down some things here over the last week. And first of all, I want to thank the police officers that we deal with often, and the code enforcement officers. When we've had situations that happen, they've been very responsive, and they've done everything they can to help us out during some times that we've had. The irony of all this is that we get 3 minutes to talk, but it takes us hours and countless hours to what's been lost, lost sleep, trying to replace items that have been stolen and damaged. We know this is an epicenter because as business owners, people that live here, we know this is all happening. This is one of the things I jotted down, my wife and I talked about, is that we kind of try to do the math because we don't claim anything either. Over the course of the last 5 years, we've estimated just in total loss about $10,000 losses that we don't claim either because we're also insured. The other thing I jotted down here is that I went from we want businesses to thrive to really we just want businesses to thrive now. Like, thriving that'd be a bonus round. Now we're trying to get businesses to survive. Families and the trickle down in our community is incredible. And my last comment is, for that fences don't work.
Next on my list is David Stokes.
Good evening, David Stokes, 706 Yakima Valley Highway, right across the street. We should all be concerned as neighbors, businesses. I'm going to list off some businesses here. Last year, had damage done to them, theft, vandalism, property damage, sex trafficking, sex work, and violence. Stuff like Taria Live Montana right across the street. Gas tanks drill, generated auto parts, all this stuff. Here, Heaven, ES, Nova Market, Candy Apples, store, Star store, Key store, Steve Cruz Photography, excuse me, SCID, Ace Hardware, Energy, Bob's Driving, All Right Glass, High Right Comfort, Bonzies, TJ's Refrigeration, Walk, H2. All of them have been affected. There are hundreds, 2,500 years of business ownership of combined businesses. Jitters is another one, and I haven't even mentioned myself. Excuse me, in 2022 so far, I've had over 30 different occurrences on camera or people have witnessed. Drug use, sex work, sex trafficking, exposure, public masturbation, public intoxication, threatening behavior. Any of it has stemmed from residents, hotels. We should be very wary as a community. 3 places I don't like visiting in the Northwest. Seattle, Portland, North First. We can do North First Street, of the Lower Valley. Thank you guys.
To remind everybody, the subject at hand this evening is Townhouse Motel, and so if we start talking about other hotels, we're gonna kind of, off the task. So let's make sure that we focus on that tonight. Next on my list is Davis Wales.
My name is Davis Wales. I own Valley Outports, 201. First, I want to thank all of you for your attention. I understand it's not an easy situation for you guys to be in. For any of us to be in either. At the last meeting, I told you guys about how the vandalism and prostitution. Everything's happening like this. Over the windows, securing columns, all these things that cost me thousands of dollars over years. And I too have insurance that I don't terminate on because I don't want to lose it. So we're talking about putting up a fence. I had a conversation with Fred about that. I told him how I feel. Not going to work. It might stop traffic from going back and forth, but that traffic is not being the issue in that. I've been going back and forth over there several nights. 9:15, I came back to Sunnyside, verified that my light at the time was coming on. I said, excuse me, put a new security light up. No, light sign was turning off. There was a lot of activity at the townhouse, so I parked my truck at their house, and I just watched. With the 4 drug deals happening out the windows. One came out of the window. One of them, a guy came out of the townhouse and did the drug deal. This isn't going to stop that. And the building. 9:18, I came back to Sunnyside, verified that my adjustments worked. Actually had company over. My in-laws were there. We were talking about the situation, and we came to Sunnyside. I said, I guarantee you, we're going to see something when we come back. And sure enough, I saw a drug deal. And a bicycle happens to live. On the first, I recorded a guy that left the townhouse chasing another guy from the townhouse down the highway with a metal pipe. Townhouse all the way to 9th Street. That's how I shouldn't do that.
Jim Stevens.
Jim Stevens, 328 Grandview Avenue, and reiterating other people's comments, really appreciate your time, and on the other hand, it's not an easy one, and probably not one you thought you'd be faced with. Crime is a huge problem in Sunnyside. Back to the issue, it's not whether a motel has bad carpets, mold, etc. It's a crime that's coming. And all the issues that these folks are having, obviously, crime in Sunnyside goes way above that. But this is one we can do something about right now. It's not going to change. There's a history here with these folks that own this motel, and on, and it goes back and comes right back again. Unless we start to do something as a community to actually take definitive action, these things are gonna continue to plague us. There's an attitude that exists. Like the one of the domestic violence, a person shot at girlfriend was shot over the Eagles. It's an attitude. This is an attitude. I can get away with it. I can speed, I can do whatever I want, and that's what's happening here. I don't think that we should endorse it, and allowing somebody to have a license in our community should be a privilege, not one to abuse everybody in the community. So we support you. You're elected people. This is where we have to come to. So I would suggest that serious consideration be got beyond serious consideration. Given it is, this is where we can really draw the line, and that's right here.
Ms. Gates Elizabeth, or there you are you opponent or proponent? Very well, come back to you. And then Jason Raines.
Hello, I'm Jason Raines, 633 Yakima Valley Highway. This is a unique situation where the council have possibly revoked. It's a very rare thing. Council would be asked to do that. I think that it's significant that city staff brought this forward. I think it's that we revoke. I think as council members that you should keep in mind the totality of circumstances. We want businesses in this community. We want the economy to grow. We want businesses to take away someone's business license. Frankly, I think you guys are taking this very seriously. Having said that, having the staff bring this before you with all the evidence, have major code violations, conditions, a long history of problems. This problems have not gotten better, and that's why it's before you now. The last meeting, the police chief very blandly, diplomatically said that there is criminal activity that is taking place at this location, that is visiting this location. I think that there is more to that. He didn't give you all the gory details, but read between the lines.
Sure. Okay, so next on my list appears the opponents of the revocation of the license, and you are first on the list.
Problem with Sunnyside itself, a lot of them, what's going on. They don't need, yes, I believe that some activities might have gone on and et cetera, but I'm also get perspective. I have people pooped on my backyard. I don't ask them to do that. They do the drugs on the back behind the building, et cetera. Not all from us, we have to be part of the town that is very popular for those guys that do that along the different motels, where they jump on back and forth, continuously telling not to come, et cetera, why, but then again, we get most of our customers, so. 5 of them gone now, 3 of them will be gone. But again, it's something that I like to save, I like, you know, the damages and et cetera, I believe that, but, you know, this is the problem that we have in Sunnyside itself right now, all these young people with drug problems, homeless, and all that going on. I want you to know it's not just all coming from our place. We're definitely working on what we can, and we are getting it the most part. I've gone through all long, not playing.
Ellen Kim, I'm just speak as well.
Hi, my name is Helen Kim. I just have a long-term goal and a short-term. A lot of folks that are here, they had issue with crime happening in Sunnyside. That doesn't mean that's all happening targeting to town. Reality of Sunnyside. Another issue was the housing issue is a huge business development. Some of those folks are not working, and let them, have some kind of program so they work. They can food stamps or any type of. Right now, my long-term goal will be maintain friendly environment and decrease the police calls dramatically. It doesn't matter from now on. I promise you that something is really important to me. Anyway, the short-term goal I have is, of course, we're gonna clean the fence up. That's the first thing we're gonna do. Right? Throw out all the long-term customers. We don't want them there anymore. We tell them that this is the last time I want to see their face. They're all gone, and 3 of them are gone will be the end of this month. And then we're gonna have any type of things that we're gonna have a follow-up with City of Sunnyside, especially Mr. Martin. Like anything that we need to get it done. That's something really important to us. Any further requirements that we need to do work with Mr. Martin. We've been living over here 31 years. We try as much as we can. We're not just sitting there. We're not just sitting there, let it happen. We don't fight for it. We fight for it. We call the police. We have 19 trespassing. We try as much as we can. This is something, after I said this is all happening from the town of Motel, it's not. It's like a reality. I want you to understand that. We live over here. We raise our kids over here. My kids graduate from school, high school. And we were going to retire here. There's something that's important. And I'm going to try as best as I can to comply all the rules. And then especially decrease the police calls dramatically.
And next, Elizabeth Gates.
Elizabeth Gates from 555 Franklin Court. I am disappointed that the Sunnyside City Council offered only one plan, and that is business license. There can be no positive benefit in this action and several negative outcomes. There is no proof that taking a license away will stop the vandalism in Sunnyside, even the vandalism on the corner at the auto parts store. Video showing a person coming from and going back in the direction of the townhouse does not prove it was a resident. Their parking lot is a thoroughfare for foot and auto traffic, as has been mentioned. The city does not have enough low-income housing or housing for homeless. Why close down one that has been here for taking away needed housing is likely to increase vandalism, just by the fact that there's no place to go. Why would this council desire to have another vacant building added to those we already have? In order to prevent squatters and graffiti and vandalism, there would need to be a fence around it. Not a pretty, or appealing sight for those coming into town, and certainly not conducive to attracting new businesses, residents. The Kims have been business owners and upstanding citizens for 30-plus years. What kind of community council would make a decision that could only affect them in a negative way at this point in their lives without positive proof that taking away their license will make a difference in the city and in vandalism? I have known Fred and Helen for numerous years because my daughter has been a resident there and I've had reason to be. Trevor Helen is always there and they try very hard to protect their residents and to keep the crap away. To comply with what the city is asking, my daughter has been told that she must not find another place. My daughter is mentally ill, not a troublemaker. And we have not been able to find another place in Sunnyside. And we have tried for years. This is not the time to take the business license away. It's time to work with them and see what can come up for the good of everyone.
All right, I have no other names on the list. If you came late and were hoping to speak and you were not sworn in, I'm sorry, without being sworn in, I can't allow you to speak, so. All right, Mr. Garrison, do you or your client wish to have closing or rebuttal comments? I'll give you about 5 minutes to go.
Well, I would just reiterate the progress that's been made, our plans. We're sorry about the Valley Auto Parts. The business has been there for years. If people are going to commit crimes, the system and vigilance of the law enforcement folks. I do, before it slips my mind, I do know has some rather severe. And it was the only home that she had. It was paid for. They provided the housing subsistence. She's out in the cold somewhere. Other trespass crimes or I don't necessarily dispute the city of Sunnyside's desire to make improvements and to take under. But we're trying, and I think cutting these people down primarily is the wrong move. And ask yourself if property is not, if they're not living there, there's no problem now. If you close it, I think it's going to be dramatically worse. The Kims are there 24/7. The police drive by, they call, they come when they're called by and large, but they're there 24/7 dealing with these people, sometimes late at night. And it's a very tough thing for them to see a rather egregious assault going on in the parking lot across the street.
Mr. Garrison, I understand that you still have some time left on the clock, but in the interest of us being able to have some time deliberating, can I ask you to close?
Yeah. So basically, what the point I was trying to make is we're now hesitant to call the police when that's the police. So we're asking you to work with us, give us an opportunity to work with your person, not revoke the law.
Thank you, sir. Please, staff, you have any comments or rebuttals you'd like to make?
We do not have any comments or rebuttals. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. The public hearing part of this is now closed. Council will now deliberate. Because this is a public meeting, we will be deliberating right here in front of you, so you can watch it all work out as we go through this. All right, council members, I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to comment. You've all had the opportunity to hear what everybody has to say and consider that. You've had a couple of weeks to think through some of the things that were mentioned the last time we were together. And I'm going to start because you are on the phone, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm going to give you the first chance because I don't want to forget about you. So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, have you any comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, I reviewed the last meeting and listened to it as well. I listened to the comments made by the public at the previous meeting. I want to remind council that our job, we're not administrators. It's not our job to administer the city. It's our job to make policy. And in this particular situation, we're being asked to decide whether or not the city staff has made their case before the council when it comes to whether or not they did everything that they were necessary in good faith to bring this particular property back into compliance. I honestly believe we need to side with the city on this one. I think they've made their case from what I've read and the record that I've read. I am concerned with the comments made about, creating additional homeless issues and things of that nature. But I think that's an argument that kind of falls on deaf ears when you think about it, because this place is not being used as a shelter or anything of that nature, low barrier shelter, or anything of that nature. Is not recognized by the Yakima County Health District as a place that we can bring homeless people. So I have no problem supporting what staff has asked us to do, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Farmer.
This is a difficult thing. It's the Kim's business. We all take pride in our business, but sometimes we don't take enough pride in our business. We don't do things that we would want our neighbors to do to us. When I got the photos of the rooms at the last council meeting or last hearing, I was shocked. I absolutely could not believe that a landlord would let tenants live like that, in rooms like that. It was beyond anything I could ever imagine. I don't know whether the city was lax in doing it. I think the Department of Health is supposed to inspect. I don't know what was happening, but it happened. And then after we bring that to our attention, and I think that should have been a wake-up call to the owners of the townhouse, that the city is not going to allow that kind of stuff to happen. And we got more pictures. I'm concerned. I mean, how many chances does a person get to do the right thing? Code violations, alleged criminal activity. Just last couple of weeks, alleged drug deals right out of the rooms of this facility. I have real issues supporting this, allowing a business to, through their own actions, cause detriment to the housing and to the community that's around them. I just have some issues here that I think need to be addressed and have not been addressed, and I need to address them now.
I'd like to remind council too that we do have a time limit, so we're going to try to wait. So next on this, Ms. Hart.
understanding that this is a long-term situation that is becoming ever more clear through the people who are being impacted, the other surrounding businesses that are being impacted by the increased drug and trafficking and all the other criminal activities which are happening in our community. And when you notice where they're centralized, then that becomes the pinpoint of where people think that all the traffic is happening. And in some regards, that may be true. And as the people who have spoke for the revocation of the license, I understand your pain and agony with the property loss. And I think that just code violations alone are big red flags. And I wish that I could figure out, I had a solution for how we could keep the Kims in business and let them figure out how to kick out and make sure that there are no criminals and have this short-term, people who don't live in Sunnyside should be the only people who are in your motel. It shouldn't be people with Sunnyside addresses who are staying there. That's one way you could do it. But if those places are being vouchered by like the mental health or the crisis center or Department of Health for children, then that's a whole different issue. But the business of crime and then business of all the this horrible living conditions, I can't figure out a way to reconcile those two issues. And I feel badly about that because there ought to be a solution that could keep you in business, keep the Kims in business, and satisfy a decrease in crime. That just seems like a big rainbow in the sky at this point.
Really?
There's a lot of code violations. The rooms are horrendous. They've had quite a few years to remedy this. And yeah, they got 5 rooms cleaned up, but what do the rest look like? Just as bad as the 5 rooms. It's a long history of problems, and I don't have a remedy for it. That's it.
I'm kind of in the mindset of modifying staff recommendations and allowing them to keep their license, but setting conditions. We have a history here that needs to be broken.
Sure. Mr. Bueller.
I've worked with the city and the staff for the 15 years I've been here. They tell me that have a code violation of my business. I take it, call the code department out. I've called Andy out. Come inspect me. Let's get this. In 4 years, we'll have code violation and behind the city.
Sure. My concern is, I think a lot of us, council members, we're human too. We recognize that taking away somebody's livelihood is a painful thing. Don't take this lightly. This is not something that's easy for me to do. Operating a business is a privilege that many of us enjoy, and we wouldn't want to live any other way. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about this over the last couple of weeks, and as we listen today, my concern is as follows. The fact that the rooms were in that bad a condition and that you complied, once the city came in and said you needed to fix it, that's fantastic. But the fact that it took the city to come in and tell you that it needed to be fixed concerns me, because I've worked in mold remediation in the past, and I know this is not something that happens overnight. Something that takes some time to develop. And I don't understand how you didn't see it and see that that was a concern. That's an unhealthy living environment. I recognize that most of the people probably who live in the hotel are not criminals. Some of them are there because they have no other place to go. But to live in an unhealthy environment is not fair for them, whether they're children or adults. And so that concerns me. The fact that it is known all over Sunnyside that drugs can be purchased at your hotel through the hotel windows. It's not just somebody taking pictures there. It seems to be fairly common knowledge that prostitution is going on there. That concerns me because people will say, I know where to find the prostitutes. And that sort of thing concerns me. I also understand Mr. Hicks's comments. I would love to work with you and see that something is done. And that is a possibility, but, you know, we're going to take a recommendation from council at this point. And council, we have a number of options that we can move forward on. We can adopt the staff findings and public testimony as presented and approve the revocation of the license. We can modify the recommendation to create a series of conditions. We can deny the staff recommendation with findings reasoning why the townhouse motel should retain their license. Or if we run out of time, we've got about 10 minutes. If we run out of time, we'll have to continue it on yet again. So I am open to a motion from council.
Can I ask a question first?
You may, sir.
If the license is revoked, does the Tims have a right to go in there and try to fix it and reapply?
I would defer to the attorney and on if we revoke the license.
That is an option if you choose.
Sorry, ma'am, the public comment period is closed at this point, so we're not able to take. That answer your question, Mr.
Yes,
Wheeler?
it does, thank you.
Okay. Council, what is your desire on this item?
Move that we adopt the staff findings and with their recommendation.
Second?
Motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Deputy Mayor Risucci to adopt staff findings and public testimony as presented and approve the revocation of the townhouse motel business license. And because of this, because of the weight of this meeting, I'm going to ask the clerk to go down the roll call for the vote, please.
Mayor Thorson?
Yes.
Councilor Hart?
No.
Councilor Farmer?
Yes.
Councilor Ripley?
Yes.
Mayor Risucci?
Yes.
Councilor Hicks?
No.
Four.
Councilor
Mr. Beeler
Beeler
vote?
is a yes.
Oh, Councilor Bueller? Mayor, there's 5 yes votes and 2 no votes.
All right, the motion carries. Council has voted to revoke the business license of the Kims. I do want to remind the Kims and everybody in the audience that this is not a closed door on ever conducting business again. You have the opportunity to make all the repairs necessary to your building, as well as come up with an action plan for what to do when tenants are breaking the law, how to get them out, and take care of that business. You are able to come back in a few months, having made those repairs, show that to staff, and reapply for a business license. This is not a forever thing. Not like we're trying to run you out of town on a rail. Please understand that. And we're not doing this to be cruel. This is painful for us as well. We don't want to see a person lose their livelihood. So this is not something that is easy for us. We thank you for attending. We thank everybody for your participation, your comments, and this hearing is now over. Good evening. Thank you, everyone.